What is going on, guys? Today is 122, I believe. Anyways, let's go over what I was seeing coming into open today. So we were clearly bearish coming into the day. So on the 4-hour here, we did break structure to the upside, but I didn't see any draws of liquidity except this high right here, which is a London high. And we had a bunch of stacked lows down here, especially on NQ. We saw that when 9 o'clock closed here, we broke structure to the downside, or when 8 o'clock opened. Sorry, when 8 o'clock closed, we broke structure to the downside here with this candle on the 1 hour. So I was honestly looking for shorts on the day, especially we had a lot of SMTs at the highs. You can see here, like literally an SMT here, SMT here, and then all this LR below. This was pretty much my final draw, but you could see all these lows stacked here, every single one of these. And then we had London right here as well. So all these lows got taken out, which were all my draws in liquidity. So I was willing to take continuation shorts, right? So all those got taken out. We saw it market open. We actually came up at 9:35. We swept these 5-minute highs while we were inside this 15-minute right here. And then we came out of it with an inverse fair value gap on the 1 minute, which would have been a great entry. And I saw this and I really wanted to take it, right here. And then targets would have been somewhere down here. I really wanted to take this, right? But it's not according to my strategy. First of all, it's too early. Second of all, ES didn't even present an entry at that time, which was at 9:36. So right here, 9:36. We didn't break structure to the downside here. And then ES actually decided to resweep these highs and move lower and finally take out those draws in liquidity. By that time, ES actually broke structure, NASDAQ was already so far down and was close to my draws in liquidity. So I didn't take the trade, right? Too early, entry not presented. But the setup was there, the idea was there, and it played out flawlessly, honestly. But yeah, just not within my rules, my system, and my strategy. And I didn't take this trade, right? Now, I had the idea of taking longs off of the sweep down here of these lows, right? So once price swept these lows down here, shows that was the last draw. I wanted to take longs up, but NASDAQ failed to disrespect the fair value gap. ES, on the other hand, was where I was going to take these longs right here. You can see this 5-minute inverse, right? And then all I needed was an equilibrium retracement. Got that pretty cleanly. Didn't end up taking the trade, right? Again, didn't take this trade. We saw price come into the discounted price, and then we came out of it disrespecting the 1-minute inverse right here. And then NASDAQ, it's got to do the same thing. So we saw that at 10:22. It's kind of late into open, but we failed to disrespect until 10:23. So at 10:23 we disrespected, and if I had entered here, would have got absolutely slammed just for price to come up to my TP. But I decided not to take the trade because I was thinking about it. Okay, yeah, I could take the trade into the opposite direction because my draws were taken out. But then that didn't make too much sense to me. Why am I not aligning myself with the higher time frame, aligning my trades, flowing. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get off before I do something stupid. And clearly that wouldn't have played out very well in my favor. So I got off, no trades. On the other hand, yesterday was a different story. Yesterday played out differently in my head. It would have been the same idea as yesterday, but I honestly thought yesterday's made more sense than today, especially with everything going on. So, despite yesterday, the only mistake, right, was not aligning myself with the higher time frame. So I didn't want to make the same mistake twice, and clearly that would have fucked me over. So, honestly, great to live another day. Was definitely experiencing some FOMO at open, not being able to capitalize on this trade here, right? Because I really wanted to enter, and I love the idea of this trade, but it just went without me. So that's all right. And you know, we've got next week, and you know, I've been trying to like play defense on during July, because this month is terrible. This month has always been bad, and I just don't want to take stupid trades that are unnecessary. You know, I know I'm only on an eval, but like, there's no reason for me to take stupid setups that don't align with everything that I need to take a trade. But maybe once I can prove to myself that I can follow my rules consistently on a daily basis, then I will be able to take more discretionary trades and maybe more trades like this. But in due time, I have not learned that level of discretion. Better yet, I can't even follow my fucking rules. So we need to show and prove that we can follow our rules before we can move to the next step. But yeah, following our rules. That's all I'm doing. It's boring. It sucks. And especially when I see a trade like this, and my rules restrict me from entering, it feels terrible. It feels like I'm missing out. And luckily, I have learned to be in control and withstand those emotional decisions, um, to start chasing, to experience that FOMO, and to actually act on it. But instead, just to breathe through the process and follow my fucking rules. Once I can get good at that, then I believe that's when you can start taking more discretionary trades. But like I said, I haven't even proven myself that I can follow my rules for a consistent amount of time. So that is what we have been working on. And you know, it's slow because it's a day by day process. And I only trade an hour and a half max. So it's definitely a slow process. But I believe ever since I stopped, back testing so much, um, I've got more level headed, more clear minded. And I'm not gonna diss on back testing or anything. Like, you should back test, but I believe that's when you're starting out or testing out something new. You know, I think it's used for getting a grasp at your strategy and your system. And simply, I know my system, I know my strategy like the back of my hand. So it wouldn't be necessary for me to start doing that because I found myself taking stupid trades, doing stupid shit, and then I would reflect on the chart, right? So there is a diminishing return on back testing, but there's definitely a lot that you can gain out of it. But yeah, yesterday was The only trade I've taken in a while. Today, I won't say today was terrible, but it wasn't for me, And I believe that's what you got to realize is whether that trade is for you within your system, rather than what everybody else has taken. Yeah, of course you can, absolutely take what everybody else has taken, but is that benefiting you to develop as a person, as a trader? You got to think about it on a longevity scale. I don't want to be reliant on somebody else's strategy, somebody else's trade, just copy trading, or even like looking at somebody's stream, for instance. I don't want to rely on that. I hate to be dependent on somebody else rather than being independent. I've always loved that, the idea that I can do this myself, to prove it to myself that I can do it just like them. So that's the way I think about it. And you can absolutely just make quick money by copying fucking people, but I'll see how long that lasts you, right? That being said, that's all I got for you. So I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.